Hello and welcome to this edition of World at War. My name is Mohammed Saleh. On the 23rd of October, the Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, while addressing the Israeli soldiers at the Hatzarim Air Base, stated that the Israeli attack on Iran will make the world understand Israel's might. And in the wee hours of the morning on the 26th of October, the State of Israel staged its much anticipated attack on Iran. But contrary to the Israeli Defense Minister's strident rhetoric, the Israeli attack on Iran appeared more in the nature of a face-saver than an exhibition of Israeli might. So how did Israel actually attack Iran? What Iranian facilities were hit? And contrary to Israel's reputation of hitting back with disproportionate force to establish deterrence, why has Israel chosen a response which even the most ardent supporters of Israel and its policies have described as a limited strike? Our next report gets you the details. The Israeli attack on Iran began in the dead of the night. This video captured the moment as the Iranian air defense systems engaged the incoming Israeli projectiles over central Tehran. According to the Israeli military, the Israeli attack that was described as precise was carried out in 3 waves and lasted for over 3 hours. The flight tracker Flight Radar 24 showed the Iranian airspace was almost completely empty during the duration of the Israeli attack. The Israeli army also released this video of the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, flanked by his Defense Minister Yoav Gallant and other military officials monitoring the attack on Iran. And just as the attack began, it was over, with the Israeli military spokesperson putting out a statement that Tel Aviv had successfully carried out attacks that targeted missile manufacturing facilities and other military sites across Iran.
The response attack has been completed and its targets have been set under the guidance of the political echelon. We have attacked precisely and targeted targets in different areas of Iran, including areas with manufacturing facilities that Iran used to launch missiles toward the state of Israel over the past year. At the same time, we have attacked Iran's surface-to-air missile arrays and air capabilities, which were designed to limit Israel's air action to operate in Iran.
Media reports immediately pointed out that the Israeli retaliatory attacks on Iran were completed. Soon, the American media outlet Axios pointed out that Israel had carried out its attack with due notice given to Iran through back channels. As the Iranians woke up in the morning and the scale of the Israeli attack became clear, most of the residents in Tehran appeared indifferent.
No, I'm not afraid at all because it was a small attack. They are certainly the ones who should be afraid. If they wanted to, they could have carried out a much larger attack. I feel that the fact they did such a small thing means that they are afraid.
The Israeli attack on Iran is in sharp contrast to the Iranian reprisal that took place on the 1st of October. In wave after wave of missile strikes, Iran had staged an attack on Israel's Nevatim Air Base and its Tel Nov Air Base. Reports that emerged in the American media showed satellite images that point to 32 strikes on just the Nevatim Air Base, which happens to be one of the most tightly guarded airspaces in the world. The Nevatim Air Base is where Israel stations its top F-35 fighter jets, and though Tel Aviv claimed that all its fighter jets are safe, experts have pointed out to the damage sustained by the hangars where the F-35 fighter jets would be stationed. In the case of the Israeli attack, Iranian oil and gas facilities and also its crown jewel nuclear facilities have remained untouched. The Iranian state media announced that 2 of Iran's soldiers were killed in the Israeli attack. But the big question for the Israeli attack on Iran is this: has Tel Aviv, through its dead-of-the-night attack, managed to establish deterrence against a future Iranian missile reprisal? And if not, what really are Israel's capabilities in attacking Iran without the active participation of the United States? India this week has quietly launched its fourth nuclear-powered attack submarine from the shipbuilding centre in Visakhapatnam. Codenamed the S4 Star, this new nuclear-powered submarine is a crucial upgrade, as it will completely be equipped with the K4 nuclear ballistic missiles, which have a range of over 4,000 kilometers. In August earlier this year, India had commissioned its second nuclear-powered attack submarine, the INS Arighat, to be deployed by the Indian Navy. INS Aridhaman, India's third nuclear-powered attack submarine, is expected to be commissioned by the Indian Navy by 2025. But an interesting question is this: why is India prioritizing nuclear attack submarines over a third aircraft carrier? Our next report gets you the details. India has a total of 16 conventional diesel-powered submarines and has 2 nuclear-powered and nuclear-armed submarines. Both INS Arihant and INS Arighat are already on deep-sea patrolling, contributing to India's maritime security. And this week, India has launched its fourth nuclear-powered attack submarine that has been codenamed S4 Star. Yet to be formally named, this latest attack submarine launched by India has some very formidable attack capabilities. Unlike the INS Arihant, which is equipped with the K-15 nuclear missiles, which have a smaller warhead of about 1,000 kilograms nuclear payload and a range of 750 kilometers, this new generation of submarines is fully equipped with the K4 nuclear ballistic missiles that can carry a nuclear warhead that weighs an impressive 2,500 kilograms and has an operational range of over 4,000 kilometers. The nuclear missiles would be launched through vertical shafts, and the entire S4 Star nuclear attack submarine has been built with 75% indigenous technology. These quick additions that India is making to its fleet of nuclear submarines change the security game in the Indian Ocean region. But what has changed in the Indian Ocean region? And why is India prioritizing nuclear submarines over a third aircraft carrier? The answer lies in the increasing presence of the Chinese warships that lurk in the waters of the Indian Ocean region. At any given point of time, there are an estimated 7 to 8 Chinese warships that are found skulking in the Indian Ocean region. And in another decade, the number of Chinese warships lurking in the Indian Ocean region is expected to triple. And add to this the Chinese long-range missiles like the Dongfeng 21 and Dongfeng 26 that pose a significant risk to aircraft carriers, making the deployment of nuclear-powered submarines hidden deep beneath the waters of the ocean a more strategically viable option. Unlike the conventional diesel-powered submarines, which need to surface every few days to refuel, recharge batteries, and on an average can stay submerged for a period of anywhere from 15 to 45 days, the nuclear-powered submarines can carry nuclear fuel that can keep them powered and recharged for almost as long as 30 years. Food supply and maintenance are the only limits. In practical terms, a nuclear-powered submarine can stay underwater for many weeks together. Besides this, nuclear-powered submarines have other advantages as well. Nuclear-powered submarines can travel much faster, so they can keep up with the fast surface ships. Nuclear-powered submarines can remain undetected for a long time, and hence can remain undetected in case of a first strike attack, and they can carry out a second strike in the event of a nuclear confrontation. As India has a no first strike nuclear doctrine, India's nuclear-powered submarines will be the ultimate guarantor of India's policy of nuclear deterrence. Seoul has long accused Pyongyang of supplying weapons to Russia for use in the war against Ukraine. Last week, the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky had warned that as many as about 10,000 North Korean soldiers could join Russia in the war against his country. According to Seoul's spy agency, the National Intelligence Service, about 3,000 North Korean soldiers, including those from the special forces, have already arrived in Russia. The South Korean media suggested that the final figure could be closer to 12,000 North Korean soldiers. On Thursday, the Russian lawmakers voted unanimously to ratify a defense treaty with North Korea that provides for mutual assistance if either party faces aggression. The same day, the White House National Security spokesman John Kirby warned that about 3,000 North Korean troops deployed by Russia would be fair game if they were to enter into combat in the Ukrainian war theatre. Our next report gets you more details.
North Korea has one of the largest standing armies in the world. But its reported 1.2 million troops are short on battlefield experience, having not fought in large-scale conflicts since the 1950-53 Korean War. But this significant detail has not hampered the burgeoning strategic ties between Moscow and Pyongyang. Last week, South Korea's spy agency claimed that Pyongyang had sent more than 13,000 containers of artillery, missiles and other conventional arms to Moscow since August 2023 in a bid to replenish its dwindling weapons stockpiles. In addition to this, 3,000 North Korean troops are now believed to be in Russia receiving training on drones and other equipment. Reports of Pyongyang sending troops to Russia have not only stoked security jitters in Seoul, but have put its ally, the United States, on the edge as well.
We assess that between early to mid-October, North Korea moved at least 3,000 soldiers into eastern Russia. We assess that these soldiers traveled by ship from the Wonsan area in North Korea to Vladivostok, Russia. These soldiers then traveled onward to multiple Russian military training sites in eastern Russia, where they are currently undergoing training. We do not yet know whether these soldiers will enter into combat alongside the Russian military, but this is certainly a highly concerning probability.
Calling the deployment of 3,000 North Korean troops Russia's growing desperation in its war against Ukraine, the United States further warned that the North Korean soldiers will be legitimate military targets provided they go into combat in Ukraine. However, any specific quid pro quo with respect to this provision of troops is still in the realm of uncertainty.
Too soon to know. I mean, we don't really know what they're going to be used for, where they're going to, if they're going to deploy, where they're going to deploy, and to what purpose. I can tell you one thing, though. If they do deploy to fight against Ukraine, they're fair game. They're fair targets. And the Ukrainian military will defend themselves against North Korean soldiers the same way they're defending themselves against Russian soldiers. And so the possibility that there could be dead and wounded North Korean soldiers fighting against Ukraine is absolutely real if they get deployed.
On Thursday, the Russian lawmakers in the state of Duma, the lower house of the Federal Assembly of Russia, voted unanimously 397-0 to ratify the defense treaty with North Korea that provides for mutual assistance if either party faces aggression. The accord will now be sent to the upper house, the Federation Council, for its approval. The same day, concluding the BRICS summit in the Russian city of Kazan, the Russian President Vladimir Putin remained vague and didn't categorically deny the presence of North Korean troops in Russia.
Что касается наших взаимоотношений,
As for our relations with the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, as you know, our strategic partnership treaty was ratified only today. There is Article 4, and Russia never doubted that the DPRK is serious about Russian cooperation. But what we will do and how we will do it is our business.
относятся к нашим договоренностям.
The South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol, however, talked tough, labeling the deployment of North Korean troops as provocation, further adding that Seoul won't sit idle over this deployment.
South Korea won't sit idle over this, and we will take necessary measures step by step with the international community, depending on the progress of Russia-North Korea military cooperation.
One of the world's top 10 weapons exporters, South Korea has for long resisted calls from its allies, including Washington, to supply Kiev with weapons. But that policy could be in for a review in light of North Korea's recent actions. On Tuesday, Seoul said that it would consider supplying weapons to Ukraine in response to the reported troop dispatch. Whether Pyongyang's involvement opened the door for greater international participation in the Russia-Ukraine conflict, and will it even be truly beneficial for both Pyongyang and Moscow, only time will tell.
Jammu and Kashmir was jolted by a terror attack on the 24th of October. 3 soldiers and 2 porters of the Indian Army were killed when an army convoy was ambushed by the terrorists near the resort town of Gulmarg near the LOC. This was in fact the 4th attack in the Kashmir Valley in a span of a fortnight and the 2nd terror attack just this week. An offshoot of the Pakistan-based terror group Jaish-e-Mohammed has claimed responsibility for the attack. Our next report gets you the details.
It was a solemn Friday in the Indian Union territory of Jammu and Kashmir as funerals were held for 2 civilian porters killed in a militant ambush the previous evening. Both the Kashmiri porters, Mushtaq Ahmed and Zahoor Ahmed, were killed alongside 3 Indian soldiers when armed terrorists opened fire on 2 army vehicles, leading to a brief but intense firefight. Struck by the unbearable tragedy, Zahoor Ahmed's widow was a picture of grief and veritably inconsolable.
I do not know about the incident. He went there for work, and now I have no one left in this world. I do not know what happened there. I have no one left to take care of me and my 2 children.
The army convoy was attacked by terrorists near Nagin post in Botapatri around 7:30 p.m. local time. Predominantly an army control zone, the location of the attack is approximately 15 kilometers from Gulmarg. Barring the seasonal Gujjar Bakarwal herders, there is no civilian population present in the area. The area's strategic significance is underscored by its proximity to the line of control and Pooch, giving rise to speculation that the attackers may have infiltrated from across the LOC. Following the attack, a comprehensive search operation using drones and helicopters were launched in the area. Our correspondent Idris Lone sent us this ground report in the aftermath of the incident.
Security forces are carrying out a massive search operation in the Botapatri area of North Kashmir's Baramulla district. The operation comes after there was an attack yesterday on an army convoy in which 2 Indian Army soldiers and 2 local porters were killed during the gun battle. There were 3 more personnel who were injured and later shifted to the hospital. Now, security forces are carrying out a massive search operation in the area. This is the 4th attack in the last 8 days in the Kashmir division.
On the 20th of October, at least 6 migrant workers and a Kashmiri doctor were killed in Ganderbal when militants opened fire near a tunnel construction site. This recent spate of attacks have come after some 12 million people of the Union Territory elected their first government in a decade earlier this month, registering an impressive voter turnout of 63.9%. For Chief Minister Omar Abdullah, the recent spate of attacks in the region is not only a matter of serious concern, but an undesirable question mark on his ability to deal with terror in the future.
Five people were killed and 22 others were wounded in an attack some 40 kilometers from the Turkish capital Ankara on the 23rd of October. The terror attack, whose motive is yet to be ascertained, targeted the headquarters of the state-run Turkish aerospace industries. Though no group has claimed responsibility for the attack, the Turkish government said that the attack was very likely carried out by the outlawed Kurdistan Workers' Party or the PKK. In retaliation, barely hours later, the Turkish military carried out air operation against the PKK targets in the northern part of Iraq and Syria. The Turkish government has claimed that about 59 people who were described as terrorists were killed in these strikes. However, a Kurdish-led militia in Syria has offered a completely different narrative, claiming that 12 civilians were killed in the north and east of the country due to the Turkish airstrikes. Our next report gets you the details.
The small town of Kahraman Kazan, some 40 kilometers from the capital of Turkey, was rocked by a terror attack on Wednesday. According to the Turkish investigators, two PKK terrorists, one a man named Ali Orek, who went by the codename Roger, and a woman named Mine Sevcin Altucek emerged from a taxi and started firing assault rifles before entering the headquarters of the top Turkish defense firm TAI. As the sound of gunfire rang out, a huge explosion sent clouds of smoke up into the air. 4 of the victims were TAI employees, while the 5th was a taxi driver who had been killed earlier by the attackers before securing his vehicle to carry out the attack. Interior Minister Ali Yerlikaya, who denounced the incident quickly as a terror attack, confirmed that both the assailants had been neutralized. Following the attack, the Russian President Vladimir Putin expressed his condolences to his Turkish counterpart Recep Tayyip Erdogan, who was in the Russian city of Kazan for the BRICS summit.
I would like to express my condolences over the terrorist attack. The media is reporting a terrorist attack in Turkey. You know how we feel about this. We condemn any manifestation of this kind, whatever its motivation may be.
Acknowledging the condolences offered, Turkish President Erdogan condemned the heinous terrorist attack on the headquarters of the state-run company, Turkish Aerospace Industries, a key player in Turkey's aerospace industry, designing, developing and manufacturing various aircraft for commercial and military use. TAI is also a major arms producer, employs 15,500 people and has a vast production site covering an area of 5 million square meters. Speaking at the BRICS summit a day later, Erdogan underlined his country's reinforced determination and resolve to eliminate terrorism.
I would like to thank all our friends for their solidarity after expressing their condolences for the treacherous terrorist act committed yesterday in Ankara. This heinous attack has further reinforced Turkey's determination and resolve to eliminate terrorism.
Banned as a terrorist organization in Turkey, the US and UK, the PKK has waged a decades-long insurgency against the Turkish state, claiming tens of thousands of lives. The Kurdish militant group has a number of rear bases in Kurdish regions of Iraq and Syria. In the retaliatory attacks, the Turkish Defense Ministry claimed to have destroyed 47 sites in Iraq and Syria linked to the Kurdish militant group. Interestingly, the Wednesday terror attack came as Turkey's political establishment appeared to be leaning towards a political negotiated solution to the decades-long conflict with the Kurdish militants. The Turkish society must continue to hope that the possibility of dialogue and a lasting solution to this 4-decade-old conflict is not the casualty of this recent terror attack.
And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of World at War. And if you want to reach out to me with any comments, feedback or suggestions, please feel free to do so on the ID that you're seeing on your screens. I'm your host, Mohammed Saleh, and I'll see you again next week.